Hi guys, I'm Sarah Westbrook. I'm a yoga therapist and I teach Align and Refine classes. And let's talk about bridge pose. Bridge pose is a basic back bend, but still quite problematic for many people. It can take you years to make sense of the pose and feel good in it. And I'm here to tell you why. So you're going to hear a lot of conflicting cues about bridge pose in classes. So sometimes you're like, well, I should do this because the teacher told me to. And if I just do this and I do it even harder, say like if I scoop my tailbone or grip my butt or let go of my butt, if I just do that even more, it'll make it feel better. And you're still left coming out of the pose just feeling like kind of awful. So that's not the intention of back bends. I want you to sculpt your practice and follow just the right cues for you so that back bends start to feel liberating, releasing, energizing, and freeing, not compressive and pinchy and painful. And you're left thinking, well, it's only for certain people who were born able to do the pose. That's just not true. So let's take a look at the pose. Knees are bent, feet on the floor. And when you come to that basic shape, don't even lift up yet. Just knees bent, feet on the floor, and pause. Let your spine relax. And this is going to give you the first biggest clue as to which cues you should be using and which cues you should be ignoring. So when you lie down and your knees are bent and your feet are flat on the floor, if your lumbar spine drops to the floor, you don't need to lengthen through the tailbone anymore. You need to stop preemptively doing that as you enter the pose. How do you know if your low back is flat? You can try to slide a hand under there and you can't, or barely get your fingers under there. The other way you can tell is by lifting up your head, neck, and shoulders. You have a hand behind the head for that. And your pubic bone is going to be higher than your hip points. So if this is happening for you, your pelvis just tucks more easily. Part of that's anatomy, and a lot of that is habit, and much of it can be training. So if this is your start point for bridge, you're going to actually have to restore the natural arch in your back before you go into bridge. So to do that, without moving your feet, scrub back through the feet, and you'll feel an arch come into your back. And now you can pass a hand under, and the pubic bone, when you feel your pubic bone, your hip points, they're level. You curl up and look, and you don't let yourself flatten your back. They look level too. Now you're ready to tuck the shoulders under, and then push into the backs of the upper arms, push into your feet, and lift up. And just go halfway. Right, so we're really slowing the pose down. And did your pelvis already tuck? Right, is your pubic bone already much higher? You could see the full front of your abdomen if you curl your head up and look. If so, pull back through your heels again. Feel the hamstrings contracting, the calves, the low back. So you've got that tone in the low back. You've got some arch. Once you've restored that arch, go ahead and lift up the rest of the way. Now, as you go higher, your pelvis naturally will tilt backwards. Your tailbone naturally lengthens. And of course, the pubic bone is going to be higher than the hip points once your hips are as high as they'll go. To get deeper in the back bend, lift your heels, right? And further shortening and contracting the muscles of the back of the leg, which directly connect to the low back. You'll get a better stretch through the front of the thigh and a deeper back bend. All right, so untuck the shoulders, lower the heels, release out of the pose, and just feel what happened. Breathe. And here you're assessing, okay, how did that feel before I went in? How did I feel when I was doing those actions? And now how do I feel after? Okay, in my class, we always take these pauses because we're trying to figure out when are we hurting ourselves and when is it actually good? So if you're like, wow, that was a lot better than it usually is, I want you to practice that a few more times. For some of you, though, those especially who tend to have quite a big arch, pulling back through the heels and keeping that arch or working to even create more gets you into compression zone where the low back starts to pinch. And sometimes you'll have spondylolisthesis or another condition in the low back, which makes it even more risky for you to have too great of an arch. So if that's the case, say when you're lying down With the knees bent, feet on the floor, you've got a lot of space here. It would be good for you to actually drive your heels away from you slightly, reduce that arch, again, towards level or maybe the pubic bone's a little higher. Then keep that abdominal tone as you tuck your shoulders under, lift halfway up, continue to drive the heels away from you as you come into the pose. And that might feel a whole heck of a lot better because it's reducing the tendency of your body to overarch the low back, to compress and pinch there. Release your shoulders, lower down, breathe and feel. What was the effect of doing the pose in that opposite way? How do you feel about there being two opposing ways to do the same pose? Isn't there just supposed to be one way to do a pose that's right for everyone? Unfortunately, no. I wish there were, because it would make my job a lot easier and your job a lot easier too. But just like the rest of life, there's no one way to do anything. There's lots of different ways that are equally valid. And so your yoga practice is about finding the cues that work for you and then abandoning the ones that no longer work for you. And then even giving yourself permission that on different days you might need a little bit of both actions. Maybe you're going to do a little push pull as you go into the pose, driving the heels away and pulling back, and sort of calibrating in that skillful way how much arch you need. So my class is about helping you find the way to your practice. I don't want you to do my practice in the way that only works for me. How could that possibly work for every single person out there? I want you to feel empowered to do your practice. So join me for Align and Refine classes. Mondays and Fridays, you'd register through yogaview.com. The class is live streamed at 9:30 a.m. On Saturdays, I do a live stream at 10 a.m., but I also record that class. So if you register for my 10 a.m. Saturday class, you'll get a recording of that class, and that's yours to access for as long as you wish. You'd register for my Saturday class directly on my website, which is yogatherapywithsarah.com. I hope to see you soon. Namaste.